So I saw the headline flash across my screen this morning, West Ham in Amazon move. I thought, don't want to move stadium again, particularly not to Brazil. It's hard enough to get to London Stadium. Those bloody queues. Be bad, wouldn't it? We'd still probably get to play Newcastle on a Monday night or something like that. Anyway, it's not that. It's not the rainforest. I was going to say the shop, but they're much more than a shop. Do you remember when Amazon was just a bookshop? They've gone a bit bigger than that now. So the rumour is that we're going to have a tie-up with Amazon, and it's for them to sponsor the shirt. As you probably know already, the Betway stuff is finishing. I think there's been some legislation that got passed, meaning that you can't have betting companies on shirts anymore. But Amazon are rumoured to be one of the people interested, and also they might be interested in sponsoring the stadium. Now, I find the dynamic quite fascinating, really, because they're two separate deals, and it would be. I think it'd be very good for the stadium, actually, not just to get some money in, but also to have more of an affiliation between West Ham, because they're really, really separate, the two parties at the moment. It's not a healthy relationship between basically the stadium management company and West Ham. But I did approach the club this morning and said, any comment on the Amazon rumours? And what came back was, we're not doing that documentary. And it took me a little while to realise, but there had actually been rumours that, you know, sometimes there are those fly-on-the-wall documentaries. You might have seen the Sunderland one. Did you see that the Tottenham one when Mourinho was there? The rumours were that West Ham have cameras behind the scenes. And, so I think the club were a little bit confused about the rumour, and so they denied that there was going to be any documentary made. I did worry a little bit about that, because I didn't feel like I was being thrown off the scent. If the club don't want to say anything, they just don't speak. They just don't reply. So I did wonder if there was that much validity to it, but I think there is. I think it's a good shout, and I mean, it's been doing the rounds now for a little while. But I think the latest update has come out from ex-West Ham United employee on his Patreon page, and yeah, there is a potential for a real tie-up. I don't mind. There was a time where, in fact, not only do I not mind, I think it might be a good move, and not just because of the shirt sponsorship and not just because of the stadium. West Ham have been seriously struggling in this current transfer window to such an extent that we have been offering derisory bids. I think it's fair to say that. For players that there's no way that we can afford. We can't, never mind not being able to afford to up the transfer bids. We wouldn't even be able to afford the players' wages were we able to make those bids successful anyway. Obviously, I'm talking about John Duran and that. Recently, this morning, over on the forum channel, I did an update on the Jonathan David, on the Angel Gomez negotiations, which is we're not doing particularly well in those. Although I'm pleased to see we are trying to negotiate for him. I think that's obviously a good thing. I was laughed at when I suggested that Jonathan David might be coming to West Ham, or that we might be interested. I was laughed at. He's not going to go to West Ham. He's got some of the biggest clubs around. He's got Champions League clubs after him. But we had an opportunity to get David last season. He would have been 20 million. We didn't do it. We had an opportunity to get Gomez last season. Similar fee, apparently. About 20 million would have got him. You'll have to pay something like that in agents' fees and in signing-on fees and stuff like that. Nobody's ever truly free, are they, in terms of these free transfers? But I just think there's so often we're missing out on these deals, and certainly our move to the Olympic Stadium has not brought in the riches it was supposed to. I think we spend money like a drunken sailor, don't we? And then we end up being skint and can't spend any money. So I guess a true reflection of how West Ham did in the summer transfer window will be better able to judge that at the end of the season. For now, it doesn't look great. I think certainly. I think Somerville looks like he could be a bit of a player. Wan-Bissaka probably my favourite signing. Todibo we just don't really know yet, and Kilman I lurched from thinking Kilman's been a really good signing to thinking he can't mark. So I don't know. We'll get to the end of the season and we'll see on that. But we do spend money. We spend it poorly. And when we get to a point where we actually really need players, then we're stuck with this FFP thing. And one of the ways to get around FFP is by having more sponsorship. as I understand it, I don't claim to know what the 115 charges are that Manchester City are facing, but one of them was that they had in some way, I want to get this right because I don't want to say anything illegal. But let's say their sponsorship maybe wasn't all it was supposed to be, that maybe they were getting above the market rate from maybe sponsors and maybe companies that wouldn't ordinarily put that much into advertising. And they've done that. Look, the point is Manchester City are not at the risk of going bankrupt or anything like that. You know, these rules were put in place to safeguard clubs. Not to make it an even playing field, because it doesn't make it an even playing field. But I think, as we've all seen, Manchester City are not on the brink of being skint. So they've put these things into place, and they've tried to generate other income, because they can't do what the honest thing is, which is basically just to say, yeah, you know, Sheikh Mansour has just given us another 500 million to spend. That's realistically, excuse me, how bloody rude. Not normally I mute that beforehand. Sheikh Mansour would ordinarily be able just to give them some money. We can't do that, so they sort of have to hide it, really. And I think that's what's happening. But I defend Manchester City's right to spend money. I think if you get tied up with a company like Amazon, that's Jeff Bezos, right? Is he the second richest man in the world? I think he might be the second richest man in the world. If not, we're not going to have a massive argument about it. We're not going to find out that actually I'm wrong and he's skint. We might find out I'm wrong and he's the fourth richest man in the world or something like that. He's absolutely minted. He's building a rocket to go to Mars. Or is that Musk? Maybe it's both of them. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's minted. Absolutely minted. And this little bookshop has now become an absolute monster. Everyone buys all of their stuff. Funnily enough, I've just muted my phone there. The phone case that my phone is wrapped in was from Amazon. As I look around my desk here, almost everything. These mugs, these metal beakers, they were from Amazon. As I look around, everything is from bloody... The mouse, the Microsoft mouse that I've got here is actually, even though it says Microsoft on it, is from Amazon. SD cards from Amazon. You get the bloody point. This will be a long video if I do everything that's from Amazon. They're a shop. The TV. Anyone watching Severance? But that's not on Amazon. Anyone watching Severance? You can watch it through Amazon. You have to pay. That's weird, right? That's quite good. Weird. Anyway, I digress massively. I think a tie-up with Amazon would be beneficial to West Ham. I'm long past the point where I thought that West Ham being owned by... just domestically by owners, well, maybe like Gold, Sullivan, Brady, was in their club's best interest. I just don't believe that anymore. I don't think they can take us forward. I really, really don't. And just look how we're struggling this transfer window. And if Amazon coming in and giving us 30 million extra a season on a shirt sponsorship, it helps, then I'm sort of all for it. It has to be said. And because I do wonder, and in the back of my mind, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, if Amazon do want to invest in West Ham, is there a bigger picture? Can they do that? I guess they could. They could take over a football club. Why not? And what do they know about running football? Well, nothing. But we're doing really badly at the moment. Really, really badly. Without churning over old ground, the decision to appoint Lopetegui was absolutely horrendous. The transfer strategy at the moment looks absolutely horrendous. The situation at the stadium is beyond bad. The situation with the concession ticketing, the way it's almost impossible to leave the stadium by walking out. There was some footage emerged on, I think it was possibly on Twitter this week. And anyone that's ever tried to leave the stadium will know this. It's horrendous. It just takes ages. The stop and go signs, you can't get out. And everyone knows it, but it's the first time I've actually seen it from this sort of elevated perspective, which is clearly taken from a vantage point from the bridge. You know, where you go up the stairs to go from Stratford Station to go into Westfield. It's taken from that vantage point. And it, if anyone's seen it, that is just a third. It carries on being more than that, all the way around the corner, then all the way to the stadium again. My point isn't just about queues. It isn't just about concession ticketing. It's about the whole lot. I think West Ham need a fresh set of eyes. some fresh impetus, and I do wonder if Amazon have got the financial clout to actually give it to us. They clearly have an interest in football because they bought up all those games, which this is their last season of doing Premier League games. Maybe they think it's more advantageous to get involved in actually the club side of things rather than the broadcasting side. Who knows? Ultimately, look, it's a story I think that's gonna run and run. I do not mind it. I do not mind this at all. I think West Ham are desperate for a cash injection. I think the stadium is desperate for a cash injection. As I've mentioned on numerous occasions, that stadium was designed to last, well, for the duration of the games. All the top stuff, all the metal work, not the roof. The roof was put on as an afterthought, basically. One of the largest cantilever roof in the world, apparently, or whatever it might have been. But that was meant to be reduced down to just the lower tier, which is all concrete. It's why that's concrete. The top, it was meant to be reduced down to a 25-seater athletic stadium. It was that whole upper structure of all the white metal framework that you see was not meant to remain there. And the stadium's starting to show signs of wear. It's leaking. It's not great, is it? So I think the stadium needs an injection of money. I mean, West Ham need an injection of money. And so, yeah, I wouldn't say excited because I don't necessarily believe that this will definitely happen. I do believe the conversations are happening, and I don't believe it's just a documentary. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll be back tomorrow.